and creative.
Friday.
Twitch Prime sub already. Thank you.
Thank you, Lion Creative. Hi, Paint Liquor. Dragonfire, Kyra Asylum. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Friday stream.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I hope y'all are enjoying the wonderful days that are Friday. Like, not too hot today. It was good.
Not bad. I haven't been outside since this morning.
It wasn't horrible.
94, 97.
Xenophonetic.
Between 94 and 97.
94, 97. Yeah, it's under 100. I like to see it. I'm going to be finishing up the last of these 4 models that I have built. I need to build the rest of my stuff
well, huzzah, huzzah. I'll just throw back my legs and pollute my britches with delight.
Whatchamacallit this weekend, so that I can have some more stuff to work on next week. We got this guy done yesterday. I'm very happy with how he turned out.
Looks great.
He's super cool. I'm particularly happy with how the silver turned out.
Yeah, it looks really
That kind of like bluish hint in the highlights looks really nice. So, we got that guy done. We got old me and
old miniature you.
the other person. I've never had hair this bad in my life.
I still think that guy's head's too big.
This guy?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
It's just weirdly proportioned.
It is very weirdly proportioned. We're going to finish up this guy. Gotta do a little bit more texturing on the leather. Highlight the metals. Finish the glow. Finish the glow on this. And Pot Wizard will be done.
So will it have like an OSL glow on the model at all from the pot? No.
No, because I'm going to darken it up a lot.
Oh,
So
the pink?
Yeah, so I'm going to use non-fluorescent colors to really darken it out. So that the fluorescent is largely at the hottest point on the inside here.
Yeah.
And this will kind of look more like smoke than it
Oh,
will
I
be
see.
anything
Okay.
else. That's the plan.
That makes sense.
Mostly because I don't want to do OSL.
Oh.
So it's a tabletop army. I like having for like tabletop stuff not doing OSL like that because I feel like it tends to overcomplicate the model. So when it's tabletop, you want it to read from pretty far really well. And when you have like OSL all over a miniature, it tends to not read quite as well from a distance.
I can see that.
It'll look really nice up close.
Yeah.
But unless I'm doing that kind of stylization on like a whole army, it looks kind of out of place on just like one model that looks like mostly pink. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Source, aloha.
Aloha.
T. Schmid, Xenophonetic. Hello, happy Friday.
And then when we're done with this guy, I have an in-between project that we can work on a little bit.
What's that?
This is fancy schmancy Space Marine Captain guy
Oh.
with a head that's over here.
Oh. But it's not for the same
No,
game?
no. Made by the same company, not
Yeah.
for the same game. That'll be fun. If we get around to it. Yeah, Paint Liquor, it's our magical and most fantastic fluorescent colors.
Which are coming soon.
Which are coming soon.
As you can tell, these are not in Pro Acryl bottles.
Correct.
These are samples.
These are sample
They're
bottles.
Not available.
So you cannot buy them quite yet.
Okay, raise your hand if you got some brushes today
Yeah,
from
raise your
monumenthobbies.com. If you didn't know that the brushes were restocked, this is your chance right now. Stop what you're doing. Go to monumenthobbies.com. Buy your brushes. So that we don't have to hear you complaining about how we don't have brushes. Because we got brushes today.
You guys buy them all yet?
No.
Look at you guys being so reserved.
Disgrace Sphere, awesome.
Nice. Congratulations. I saw that some of our Discord members went to a local store the other day and found a whole bunch on the rack, which is super funny, somewhere in Michigan.
Golden Rhino, yeah, they're big, one of our bigger
Yeah, they had old
FLGS
sets.
partners.
Wonderful LGS partners. We love our LGS partners. They're great.
Yes.
Getting product into your guys' hands at the flip of an engine switch to turn your car on and off to get there. Alright, so how do I want to approach this guy? I'm going to do the leather first. We're going to grab some light umber. That's dark umber. We're going to grab our size 3. Because I basically do everything with a size 3 these days. And I'm going to zoom in. And we're going to do our little hash mark texturing. This is really thin. Too much water on the brush. Let's Alright. Now we can start. So does anybody have anything fun planned for the weekend while I start this little process up here? Jen, are you guys doing anything fun?
I will be here working.
Working?
Yeah. At least one of the days. Hopefully only one of the days.
Yeah.
Don't want to be here all weekend.
Lots of stuff to sort out, I take it.
Oh, just brushes.
Oh, yeah.
Lots and lots of brushes.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. But that makes sense.
Delta, hello. Source will be painting gold trim on S2D models. I don't know what that means.
S2D.
Paint Liquor, awesome. Glad you found that video. Hopefully that's a good help
Slaves to
for
Darkness.
you.
Slaves to Darkness.
Slaves to Darkness.
Yep.
Okay. Lion Creative said I have some ignition core to paint and a resin beast mini to work on.
Cool.
Phonetic hobbying with friends tonight. Maybe a 40K game tomorrow, Sunday, unplanned.
Very cool. I am super excited.
What are you doing?
Nothing. I got no plans.
Oh.
Which means I'm free to do whatever I want.
Oh.
And I'm feeling better. So I feel more comfortable being out and about, doing stuff. Great.
Disgrace Sphere, happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
It's tomorrow, and I'll be
Oh.
spending the day at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. Should be fun. I have been to the Minnesota Renaissance Festival once when I was a very small child, probably like 6 or 7 years old. But I
Jeez.
remember it because I desperately wanted one of those flower crown things with the like
Oh, yeah,
ribbons
yeah.
floating off the back. I didn't get one.
Did you ever get one?
No,
Hmm.
did not.
Your
It's
interest
the story of my
changed?
childhood.
Yeah.
I was a little spoiled about some things, but there are a couple things that I can't let go of because I wanted them so badly and I never got them. One of them is a Renaissance Festival flower crown, and the other one is an easy bake oven.
An easy bake oven.
Yep, I wanted an easy bake oven so badly when I was a kid, and I never got one.
Now that I think about it, I am actually going to build some models this weekend.
You could build some models
I am, yeah. I'm going to finish building
Oh, yeah, you
these
said that.
guys.
so that you have stuff to paint next week.
Yeah, but I also want to get started on building some Horus Heresy stuff. Now that Kyle is here, that man is very, very much into Horus Heresy, which is exciting because I have probably like $1,500 to $2,000 worth of Horus Heresy stuff that's unbuilt
Oh,
that I've just been waiting on slowly.
just waiting for a worthy opponent.
Well, not so much a worthy opponent, but just like I really wanted to work on it, but it's a big project.
Okay.
And I wasn't quite sure exactly how I wanted to build everything
Uh-huh.
because I'd never played the game before. I mean, I've played old versions of 40K, which is pretty similar, but like the game is very broad and has lots of options to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only build the guy's one way, right? And you can build them multiple different ways.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't know how I want to build these things yet.
Yeah.
So I held off on building everything until I had more understanding of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle and I and Gabe sat down during lunch this week, and he kind of like gave me the rundown on the game and helped me kind of formulate a great idea of what I want to build my stuff into.
Cool.
So that's really
awesome.
cool and super exciting. So I'm really excited to do that.
So, and then now is Gabe going to start playing this game as well?
I think so.
Okay.
I think he's interested in picking some stuff up for it.
Oh, but he doesn't have it. You have it all, but he doesn't have it yet.
Yeah,
You
because
guys were just- he
I
was
bought
just
in
there when you were talking about it.
last year.
Gotcha.
When I was still living in Seattle, a bunch of my friends wanted to get into it, and then I moved before I could start playing.
Okay.
So it kind of like, it was one of those things where I was planning on starting it at the beginning of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden I was
to
moving.
Arizona.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I can't start working on these now, so I have to wait
Yeah.
until I get to Phoenix. And I got here, and there is a community around here that plays, but I got more involved with doing Digimon and hanging out with people here.
Yep.
Kind of just fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
And now that Kyle is here, I have somebody who's part of this ecosystem who's really into it, who I can,
Yeah.
steal their energy and as a
Learn
result
and-
become
yeah.
more interested
Yeah.
and learn more.
Very cool.
So I'm super pumped
Well, that is exciting.
because I've been wanting to do it for a long time.
Yeah.
Real long time. And I have some real cool stuff. I mean, heck, the Horus that I painted, this guy.
Yeah. The one that you and Jason both painted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I have some painted stuff for
Yeah.
it already.
So now everything in the rest of that has to
You
be
know?
painted to this.
Well, I'm not gonna paint it up this nice.
Okay.
That would be crazy. But like, I have this guy painted up,
Uh-huh.
and he looks great. So I'll probably do something closer to like this on the whole army. And then I started some other stuff. I did this for a short.
These are all for
The same game.
Horus Heresy.
Yeah, for Horus Heresy. Now this is technically the studios. So I might have to build mine and be like, hey, here's a built one. I'm gonna take the one that I started working on because it's already painted in my
You're
colors.
gonna swap it.
Yeah.
No one will notice.
No one will notice. And then I have a whole bunch of other stuff that I might work on as well.
Omicron Samurai, Lumberjack Tim, Vlad Tomato. Hello, everyone. Imperial Buckethead, thank you for ordering the Sable Brush set.
I got some Terminators. Got all these guys. Got a Malagurst. This is a test model. Another Terminator. Got the Freighter.
Source, I'm not understanding your question. When the seal gets stuck in the cap?
Still gets stuck in the cap.
The little round one is supposed to stay in the cap.
These guys started. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. This whole project's been backburnered for too long. So my project excitement is going a little crazy right now,
Good.
which is good. It's a good feeling to have.
Yeah. It's fun to be excited about something.
Yes, very much so. So we're gonna push these guys over here. We're gonna get them out of the way a little bit. So yeah, I have a ton of stuff to build. I got a lot of stuff to paint, but it'll be exciting. This army I'm probably gonna do mostly in like batch painting, so that'll be a cool example for you guys to learn how I paint an army up really fast, which will be fun. So that'll be a cool learning experience. And the nice thing is most of it's going to be really similar in color, so I don't have to worry about, how crazy some of the stuff gets, like for my Seraphon, which is very diverse. So.
Omicron, awesome. That number 6 synthetic was very limited. Glad you got your hands on it.
Oh, You know, I bet sources talking about the seal that gets stuck to the top of the.
I know, but I'm still not understanding how it's stuck in the cap.
It's probably like he peeled up the edge and it peeled up the like top layer of it, but there's
but
still a
you
little bit.
just-
Yes,
I mean, you gotta take
that's
the
the
cap
answer.
off and
Yeah,
just pull it out. Stick a little pin
take
in there.
take a
and
hobby knife in there
Yeah,
and just like
knife
cut
or
it out.
something sharp
and
to
peel
poke
it out.
through it and just pull it right out.
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing I
If
can
that's
possibly think
what
of.
you're asking. But if you are asking about the little round one, that's supposed to stay.
I think this guy will probably even be done before Jason gets back from his meeting. We'll probably move on to.
You're out of frame.
Oh,
We can't
thank
really
you.
see
Sorry.
through.
While I start working on some of that Sons of Horus stuff. See if I can't show off a little bit of the not oil wash stuff. Because I want to use it on some of these guys.
Okay, so you're good though, Source? There's not an issue with something stuck in there? Okay. Yep.
What was it? Yeah.
I said it was an error. I didn't know there was a round one, and the paint covered the hole, so it looked like a full seal.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Okay.
Good. Good.
Omicron, we will be here on Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah. Stop by, say hello. We love it. As you know, as you well know. Alright, so we're gonna go up a little bit. I'm gonna take a little bit of ivory, mix it into the light umber.
Lumberjack Tim making apple cider today.
Apple cider. Ooh, that sounds
It's
good.
probably very fall-like where you are, or at least starting to get to be fall-like where you are. It
Yeah.
is not fall-like here.
No, most certainly not.
Apple cider, not even on my mind yet.
You know, it is on my mind though. I really want to go to the grocery store and pick up some, what's it called? Kool-Aid, some blue raspberry Kool-Aid to mix in with a big jug of lemonade that I have at home.
Oh,
It's
I thought you were gonna say vodka.
Super good. I mean, I have booze too. That is a reasonable thing to put in there, but I'm not so into the booze.
Yeah.
And I like lemonade, and I
Yeah.
like blue raspberry a lot.
So you have blue raspberry lemonade.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Fun.
they serve it at like a wing place up here, and ever since I had it when I was there, I was like, oh my god, I need to make this.
Oh, there's a restaurant that makes blue raspberry Kool-Aid mixed with lemonade.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Funny.
It's ATL Wings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That sounds funny.
Yeah, they literally, you know, those like churning, like lemonade
yes.
machines that people have
Yeah.
at
They
stores
have
like
it
that.
in that.
Yeah, they have it in that, and it's
That's
just
awesome.
blue raspberry lemonade.
That there's have you been to Lolo's yet? Lolo's Chicken and Waffles.
No, not yet.
So they serve Kool-Aid there in a mason jar.
Kool-Aid in a mason jar.
Yep.
That's
And
pretty
then
cool.
Mrs. White's Golden Rule Cafe, which is Mrs. White is the mother of Lolo. So that's the original restaurant is called Mrs. White's.
Okay.
And they don't have chicken and waffles, but they've got like soul food. So they do have great fried chicken, they have amazing mac and cheese, like grits, stuff like that. So good. And they have Kool-Aid as well.
I don't think I've ever had grits.
I don't think you're missing out.
Yeah.
Pretty
I've heard
sure.
that.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about grits here,
Did we?
and I had to Google what they are because I don't really know. I think it's like cornmeal.
It's
or
like
something.
cornmeal,
Yeah.
right? Mixed with like other stuff.
So shrimp and grits, when they make them, we like really season them and put cheese in them and stuff. It's amazing.
Okay.
Tim, see ya. Have a great weekend. Have fun with that
Bye.
apple cider.
Bye, Tim.
Tell your wife hello.
Every time I see Tim talk, I think about the barbecue that he showed off on our Discord so many times. I'm like, I want good barbecue really bad. Curse you, Tim.
You had a pumpkin spice celebration day at work. It's like 90 here. Yeah, pumpkin spice. Not my jam. We've had that conversation.
Yeah,
here
you and I
recently.
are in
I do not-
step.
That like
When
the
it comes
fact
to
that I
that.
can't go to Starbucks without, waiting 20 minutes for all the people getting their pumpkin spice nonsense.
Oh my god, our Starbucks is the worst.
Well, I go to a different one now.
Oh really?
And
Oh, because it's closer.
Way worse.
Really?
Yes, I pass. I drive right by one, and I've had to start
goodness.
ordering so far ahead, and I still get there,
Wow.
and it's not ready.
Wow.
It's next to a high school, so
Oh,
there's
so all
a
the
lot
high
of
school kids
in there
just get it
getting
in the
their
morning. Yeah.
morning coffee, and
Shucks.
I
Damn.
didn't have
high
anything
school
like that when I
kids.
was in high school. Taking Starbucks to class.
Yeah, I know, right? That'd be sweet. Oh my goodness. And I mean, I lived in like a city high school too, so there's like
Kids didn't drink coffee when I was in high school
we were like right next to downtown. Yeah, I don't remember.
because there
Drinking
was
a lot
no
of coffee.
Starbucks didn't exist then. It was it did, but not the way it does now.
Well, I mean, even for me, like I wasn't in high school that long ago.
Well, yeah, and you were in Washington. We're like the home of Starbucks.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's because we had like coffee drinks at the school, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We had like a really cool
Who's giving coffee to kids?
we had a really cool like student
Yeah.
store which had a lot of really
Yeah.
good stuff in it.
My sister's high school had that too. I
It had
remember
lots of
going
like energy drinks and stuff
to
that
her
people would have.
graduation and hearing about all the stuff that she had at her school. I'm like, what?
Yeah, why didn't I get any of that?
Insane.
Yeah, what the heck?
Like, you know what I did at school? I went to class, I sat there, I did my homework, and then I went home. There was nothing extra at school.
Yeah, I mean we
It was
did that
bad.
too, but also
No, I know, but we didn't have anything extra.
Yeah.
We did have a smoking area.
okay. That's see that would not happen nowadays. Not that people at my school
They
didn't.
still smoke, but
yeah.
you didn't have a special area for them.
You're welcome, Death Spawn. I'm glad we fixed your problem.
Oh, yes, me too.
The coal black has been returned to normal, which
It
is
was
exciting.
not transparent black.
Yeah, Death Spawn, anytime you have that sort of problem happen again, just, take the lid off your bottle and just manually stir it. Because a lot of the time that stuff gets stuck to the bottom of your bottle. And even like those vortex mixers won't get it to dislodge. You have to physically get in there and like mix it up. Once it's mixed up a little bit, you can stick it on those vortex mixers and it'll work okay. But you don't want to run it too long because
I know for a fact that somebody here, I want to say it was Lumberjack Tim, I know I said it too, said to take the lid off and stir it. So I'm
Yeah.
glad
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the solution.
I mean, sometimes it's easier when you're on like a direct one-on-one conversation.
Yes. Oh, for sure. No,
Instead
I'm
of
just,
chat.
I'm just.
But we
I'm
got it
just
fixed.
Giving Death Spawn a hard time.
So that's because a lot of people will come in, they'll be like, hey, I have this issue with my paint, I hope it's not a bad batch. And it's like, we don't really have that problem
Yeah.
because we extensively test our paints before they leave here and before we bottled them
Yeah.
to make sure that there aren't any issues.
And we have humans running the whole operation, so it's like,
Correct.
they're looking at every bottle.
So, when we have that happen, we catch it and we remove the whole run. And it's one of those things like if we had a bad batch go out, it wouldn't be one bottle that would randomly
we
be
would have
having
heard
problems.
a lot
It would be like
from a lot of other
1,000
people by now. Yeah.
or something, right?
But I mean, I get it. I guess sort of. That's what everyone, their mind wants to just go there first. Like, okay, it must just be a problem with this particular bottle because I hear so many good things about this paint. And
Yeah.
so anytime any of you here have any issues, please reach out to us at support so that we can help you figure out what's going on.
We have our violet fluorescent here.
So pretty.
You guys are gonna get to see some of my awesome fluorescent mixing game plan. Because I've spent a lot of time working with fluorescent paints. on miniatures, and they're pretty cool.
Source, what do you mean? Are those coming as base paints or art? These are not, the fluorescents are not a signature set. No, they're just going to be regular, part of the regular Proco line.
Yep.
We try to keep base to base set. So I think that maybe threw me for a second.
We're gonna paint this violet over a lot of this purple. I'm mixing. Excuse me. We're mixing the pink and the violet together to start shading in some of these areas that I don't want to be quite as bright, like this smoke trail here and the inner ring of the pot.
Malev. Hello.
Malev. Hello. How goes the daily goings on of the Malev Shinobi?
Yep, fluorescent paints coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. Very soon.
There will be 6 initially.
Yeah, our
Pink,
current.
purple, yellow, green, orange, red.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I'm working through the testing on them right now, which is part of the reason why I'm using them right now. To make sure that they are fit for production and good enough to put in your guys' hands.
We've learned that 6 is a nice even number that fit in our paint side boxes.
Yeah. Well, and there aren't, like, you don't want to make a million fluorescent
No,
colors.
there's
Like, you
no
don't really need 20 fluorescent colors or 12 fluorescent colors. You really only need kind of the 6 that work really, really well.
No black fluorescent? No.
No.
We're working on that. Set to release around the same time as plaid.
So we're just going to build this up. And we're going to let it dry because it needs to be fully dry before I put on another layer. The next layer we're actually going to take non-fluorescent colors and we're going to start glazing over these to bring them down a little bit. But you can see even how that just the violet adds a lot more to this mix. Gives a little bit more dimension.
Lion, I don't think it's that the blue didn't work out well. Blue, I think, as a fluorescent, I think Jason was saying doesn't read as well.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
But we did want to prioritize getting a red in there, so red instead of blue.
Yeah. The red will be really nice.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put the pink on this little bit of flame up here. And you'll notice that this is pretty transparent as I'm putting it on. Your fluorescent colors in general are very, very, very transparent. And require a little bit more layer applications to get to be that nice solid color. So just work with it, take your time. Don't rush it, and it'll look really good in the end.
Blue is just too dabari. Oh, now that's gonna be stuck in my head.
Yeah, the problem with the blue is that the blue doesn't take to fluorescence particularly well. It just doesn't have the luminosity is maybe a good term to put it. that the other colors do. Same thing with like the purple or the violet, excuse me. So the violet versus the pink. I mean, you can even see it on camera to some extent, like how much more intense the pink is than the violet. The violet still works, but it just doesn't have that same intensity that the other colors do. Like you look at the greens and you look at the yellows, right?
Yes,
Like, look how
yellow,
crazy
green, orange.
these are, right? These colors really, really take to it. Whereas like some of these darker colors that are naturally darker in value in their, you know, more natural pigment state, like a violet or a blue, right? Tend to be not quite as intense. I think the orange is still pretty intense.
You can't tell on the screen. Intense. It's
Yeah.
very intense.
So, but the blue is just, you know, not quite as nice.
It looks just like blue.
Yeah, it just looks like blue.
Yeah.
It looks like a nice bright blue.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get this kind of pigment intensity out of just regular pigment, is the thing. And that's true for all fluorescents. That's why you don't see blue fluorescents in anywhere, really. And the ones that you can find are not great.
Mm.
They work, but they're not as... They don't work as well as the others, which is kind of the only bummer.
Humility Chameleon. Thank you for the follow.
Why, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the stream. If it is your first time here. If not, welcome back.
Source does said, I'm sure there's something toxic you can put in it to make it glow and pop. That's aftermarket. If you want to do that, that's up to you. But if you do that, then you definitely don't want to eat the paint.
100%.
You already don't want to eat the paint. But if you're adding toxic stuff, don't eat the paint. Unless you want to also glow and pop.
Ha, that's funny.
He is? He's making a joke? What? No way.
Darkening all that up. Starting to look real nice. And now I gotta figure out what color I want to bring into this.
So Punisher, I clearly said
Royal
you already should not eat the paint, but definitely don't eat the paint if you're putting toxic stuff in it. So that's on you. You got to listen to the whole thing.
Well, how about this? Just don't eat paint.
That's what I said. That's
Period.
the message that I have been trying to convey.
Period. Don't do it. You're not allowed to do it. And as for the why, because we said so.
That's right.
Okay, so purple. Next step. What do we want to use?
Michael
Can
R.
you
Murphy,
use
thank you. We do
royal
have more
purple,
than
I think, would be
3,
good.
But hopefully you meant the 3 that you needed.
Yeah, that royal purple will work well. So we'll take royal purple, and I'm actually going to mix some of this pink fluorescent into it. That's the wrong way to go.
Bakamaro, thank you. Bakamaro said, you know what? For today, no eating paint. You gave us brushes.
Hey, there we go.
Sounds like a good trade.
That's a step in the right direction.
Thank you, Spatsnat. Non-toxic is not the same as edible. This dude looks like he takes his cotton candy very seriously.
And you can see I'm just darkening up these areas.
Xenophonetic, I am not reading that because I'm not going to say that out loud.
Xenophonetic trying to trick us over here?
No.
Alrighty.
That looks really neat.
The darker kind of smoke effect. Yeah. It makes it less crazy, right? Like you still get this nice heat from the bottom of the bowl, the inside, right? Especially when you look down into it. But it makes it less distracting as a whole, which is nice. We're gonna take a little bit more of this royal purple. And blend it in here. We're gonna kind of hit the top edges of this. And gotta make sure we hit the back of it too. Consistent. I think that's kind of where we want to be.
I've got two kinds of wet in my pants.
With that glow.
Chromonauts community, thank you for the raid.
Hello! Welcome, Raiders.
Hey, somebody likes us.
How do you do today? Hope you guys had a great stream.
Jason just had a call. He'll be here
Yes.
possibly?
Jason shall be here anytime. Remember, Jason is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Yes.
Battery's playing with his new magic cards.
Well, he was looking at a fairly substantial stack of cards when I walked by.
Yep.
I think they were splitting them up, right? They're not all his.
Hey, somebody likes us.
Yeah, Woozuzu. What do you mean you need to do business stuff when you run a
Right?
business?
I know, it's crazy.
It's not important. Are we comparing Jason to Gandalf now? I mean, is that a terrible... Is that a terrible thing to do?
Hey, look, that's the new fluorescent.
This is the fluorescent pink.
The hottest of the hots.
The hottest of the hot. Yeah, Source, I'm recovering. We're doing pretty good though.
They actually sound healthier than they have before.
Oh yeah. I've been dealing with some pretty gnarly allergies, which has been kicking me in the butt. So, doing much better. Building up that same gradient on the smaller bit here. And now that looks really good. Yeah, I'm stoked with that. That looks awesome.
I like that.
It's not super like crazy. It's subtle. It reads like Cool Magic Glow, but it's not too like intense. So there's that. Trying to figure out if I even really want to do much more on this guy.
So our dry, yes. Desert, yes. Plantless, no. The plants here will, yeah. I mean, there's probably everybody that's allergic to some kind of plant from Arizona.
Yeah, well, especially when we go from super dry climate to a wet environment.
Yes, right now we're in our monsoon season, so it's much more humid than normal and very, very windy some days in the evenings. And it just blows all of the nonsense around.
We still have plants that pollinate in Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're allergic to that stuff...
I'm only allergic to like 3 things, and one of them is a tree that is everywhere.
Yeah. I bet you that if they took the allergy test for me, I'd be allergic to so much stuff.
Yeah.
I have gnarly dust allergies. I'm I'm allergic to like shampoo, like body wash. Minorly, it's not super bad. Definitely allergic to laundry detergent, which sucks. Yeah, Lion. Most of the time, it's when it switches from dry to humid and back is when I get really screwed up. And
it
it's
used
not
to
so
be back in the day, Arizona was a place that people moved to when they had severe allergies and
Yep.
other places or asthma
Yep. Yep.
because of the dry climate. But it's gotten, I think there's just too many people that have done that now. Canceled it all out.
I mean, it is when it is not switching from dry to humid. Because remember, guys, I've also been traveling a ton, which doesn't help when it comes to allergies and stuff. So, Arizona on the whole is better than the other places that I've lived. But when I'm traveling to Indianapolis or I'm traveling to Chicago or I'm traveling to, DC or whatever, those areas are not so great when it comes to having allergies. So
Xenophonetic, we have more than just magenta. We have pink, pale pink. We have dark magenta. I don't know that we've got much more in the pink realm coming. It's in the Ninjon set, dark magenta.
hello. Welcome.
Hi.
You don't look excited to be here.
Is it comfy chair time for you today?
No, I thought about that, but no.
The Pink Realm sounds like a cool album title.
Welcome to the Pink Realm.
Dibs on band name.
Hello. You're allergic to not having monument fluorescence. Do you think you could get help out?
Nope.
No.
You're gonna have to make do for a minute.
Yep. Just like everybody else.
Hey, it's that guy.
Is that guy?
It's that guy. Hi. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
I'm
I
excited.
would like to have a day with no meetings.
Yeah, you've been having a lot of those.
It's never gonna happen. Meetings every day.
Since I only had Sunday where I had no meetings. Because I had a meeting on Saturday all
That's
day.
why I just said meetings every day. You don't get
I
a
only
break
had
from
Sunday
that.
off.
And you have them probably every day next week too. That's your life.
That's
I
your
quit.
life. I quit.
I quit.
I quit my life.
I quit. When did the last set of signatures come out? August? Beginning of August? How was MTG Fuse? What?
Talking about your magic stuff that popped in today.
I like how it's my
Someone
magic
tried to
stuff,
say
but
that you
everybody
were-
in the
that you were
building other
playing
than Jen
Magic.
got some, so it's not mine.
Somebody tried to say that you weren't here because you were playing Magic.
No, it couldn't have possibly been me.
It wasn't me. Don't look at me like that. I
It
didn't
was
do
hipster
anything.
We need a. I'm gonna make an overlay that just blacks out his side of the screen.
Gumby. What? Why?
It'll be Monu-me, and then the NT and Jordan just get blacked out. Woot. It'll be Monu-me. Yeah, right there. Monu-me. Yeah, exactly. Monu-me. Welcome to Monu-me Hobbies.
False
Desphone
side of
says,
the
"Damn,
recordings."
dude, a month and a half and still no signature sets. You're fired. Somebody escort that guy out of here."
Okay.
Not you. Death Spawn.
Oh, good, yeah. We solved his coal black issue, by the way. We done did it.
Yay. Blame the distributor? What do you mean?
No.
Meetings just mean Fuse is playing Magic. I wish that's what it meant.
I wish this. Yeah. All meetings just equal playing games of Magic.
Goofing off.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to think that when I'm not here, I'm on the couch, right? That was the thing from last week, right? Or at the beginning of this week.
Man, I thought that was the case.
He's on the couch. No. I was sitting in a semi-comfortable chair at a training. Semi-comfortable, I say, because it wasn't real comfortable. It was one of those where they only want you there for a few hours. It wasn't quite like fast food restaurant seating where they're like, if you're here longer than 15 minutes, you have back problems.
Out. Yeah.
But it was not a hangout all day. There was a couch and two comfy chairs in the room we were in. We didn't use them once.
That's funny.
And there were only...
I would have just gone and sat in the comfy chair.
Yeah, now that I think about it, there were only 6 of us, so that could have been where we had the whole meeting. Magic Stronghold still doesn't have the new signature sets because I don't know, the distributor's on the other side of Canada or something, or they didn't order them. Is probably more of a reason.
Magic Stronghold you might want to check some of the other Canadian stores.
Yeah, exactly, Spats. Spats has got the right mentality. It's like meetings wind up with more product for you guys, which is definitely true. Definitely some sort of true.
.401 Games has the new signatures in Canada.
There's lots of people do.
Well, Desmond's saying that nobody does, so I am searching.
The guys with the wolf as their logo, I never remember their name.
You might need to buy them online if you need them.
Yeah. Just because your local store may not have them does not mean that they don't exist in Canada. They're definitely...
Oh no, the distributor had a lot.
Yeah.
Our Canadian distributor is on it. They order pretty quick. We don't have to push them to.
No, they pay attention to everything that we're doing, and they let us know immediately when they want stuff. We sent theirs, I think,
first, right?
First.
Yeah.
Fenris Workshop. It just popped up as
Fenris.
as like a banner on their site. I'm on there right now.
Yeah, Fenris is the wolf people.
The wolf people.
I never can remember the damn store
Yeah,
name,
they
but I'm
have
like,
it.
the ones with the wolf.
They have it.
Yeah. I think they already sold out twice and had to reorder.
It's not showing out of stock on their website. Lots of places in Canada that you can get the signature colors.
People just complaining.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sometimes, I mean, you got to give your local dealers cut them a little slack too, because there's been like, I mean, especially for Magic Stronghold, there was a huge Magic release in the midst of all of that. Some stores are just a little behind. We understand. They have to invest in the things that keep the crowds showing up, and new Magic releases do that.
Yes, they do. My goodness, do they?
So,
Have you asked your local store? Well, yeah, you said that they didn't get them, but that's not true because all the other stores in Canada have them.
You
So
can
they
also
may have
ask
not.
them to
They may
order
not have
some.
ordered them.
Yeah, they just
Magic
didn't order.
Strongholds.
They just didn't order.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be some other problem, but sounds to me like they didn't.
Mathematics said just had a successful airbrush session. Woot, it's been kind of hit or miss. Still very new to using it. Awesome.
Can you go
Very
to two
cool.
painter?
Oh yeah.
I guess I could hit that button.
Sorry.
Matomatic, what was that again?
Had a very successful airbrush session.
Awesome.
Said that it's kind of been kind of hit or miss up to this point. Sounds like still very new to using it.
Airbrush is one of those that is not nearly as big a struggle as a lot of people tend to make it out to be, and is definitely worth every minute of figuring it out.
Yep. Oh yeah, 100%. Is one of the best tools I ever learned how to use when it came to.
Well, Despon,
Design.
we can't speak about that because they don't order from us. So, you know, all we can say is that we sent out the signature sets, lots of them, to Canada at release. And when I searched, just a Google search of Monument Hobbies in Canada, searched the first couple stores that came up, and they had it. Do you want to talk about what you're painting, Jason? Since you just got here, and there might be people who didn't see it yesterday.
I'm painting Payne's Gray on fur on a cool model that we made. This is a new thing that we are doing, or starting to plan out, which is a texture trainer. It's a cameo bust, if that's a familiar term for you. It's basically just the front of the model and a little bit of side, right? I have this female warrior. You can see that it's really just kind of, maybe a 2/3 slice of the model, and then the back is just the coin itself. It's a 65 millimeter coin that has the Monument M on the back. And yeah, just a neat resin model that gives a good kind of bridge between gaming figures and competition, like art figures or display pieces. Marco Frazzoni yesterday said it the best, that he thought it was a really good segue between those styles of painting for artists that want to move from, painting armies into maybe giving a shot at painting something that's a little bit more display oriented, but not as intimidating as a full bust, right? Because you're really only painting the front, so you only have to envision the story from this main direction, lighting and everything else. You don't have to worry about how that lighting plays on the back, but it's still good enough three-dimensionally. And then we're baking in a lot of texture, so you can see we have flesh, hair, fur, leather, metal, wood, cloth, right? So the ability to paint lots of different things is really meant to be kind of a practice scenario. It's going to be great for teachers and students.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to be able to
and
show
just
stuff
all
off.
of us that just want to paint a model and have some fun with it. It can be something that you paint one time and then you're done and you put it on the shelf. Because it has a flat back, we were talking yesterday, you can drill magnets into it, put it on your refrigerator. Somebody made a comment, they're like, ooh, painted refrigerator miniatures, something I never knew I needed.
Death Spawn said, I'm not sure if this is a question, but probably maybe could use some clarification. It said on the airbrush talk, I have a Patriot 105, and when I switched from a 0.5 to 0.3 nozzle, it didn't really seem to do much.
Didn't really seem to do much. What does that mean? It didn't change the way it sprays?
Mini Rekka said, painting my first competition piece now, the Norn Emissary Nid for Old World Games. Luke made me
Cool.
join, nervous and excited.
Nice.
Good luck.
Nice.
Nice.
Super fun.
That's such a cool model. Very neat.
The Jordan and I judged the last Old World Games competition with Angron,
Yeah, it was fun.
which was awesome.
I remember you were like, "Hey, you want to go down and do this?" I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great."
Desmond said, didn't seem to change the spray at all.
So the first thing to kind of rationalize is that a 0.5 just gives you the ability to put out a lot more paint. The 0.3 is not going to cover as quickly as a 0.5 will, but I don't know that you wouldn't be able to do the same things with a 0.5 that you do with a 0.3. So yeah, I can understand how you might feel that way. It really, until you get down into like 1.5 and 0.2 needles, you don't start to feel that, because they start to restrict the aperture enough to where you know your spray is a lot tighter. But I would think 0.3 to 0.5 you would realize it. You have to change the needle, the nozzle, and the nozzle housing. Make sure you change 3 things and not just 2.
Yeah, Spat's not saying, you just said nozzle. Did you change the needle as well?
Needle, nozzle, and nozzle housing have to all be changed.
Yeah, he said everything changed. T. Schmid wants to know how many models there will be.
What's that?
How many of these will there be?
Yeah.
Do we know yet?
How many?
Of what the
cameo models.
cameo models.
Oh, different types?
Yeah.
Right now we're looking at 3 or 4. And we'll see how we like the various textures. If they're a hit and people like them, then we may continue to do more. We'll see. But remember, again, they're not really ways to create more characters. They're ways to create neat amalgams of texture for painting and training yourself to get comfortable in painting certain things. So, I'm not certain we want to carry 30 different character types.
Despon said, changed everything. I thought changing them down would help with getting a tighter spray to kind of do more precision.
Yeah, it should. You're on the right path. A lot of tighter spray, though, is your control and your ability to work close. I can do the same work with a 0.3 that I can do with a 0.2. You just have to be, a lot more confident with working close into the model. When you're doing fine detail, you've got the nozzle, like, I don't know, a quarter of an inch away from the surface. So if you start working closer with that 0.3, you will definitely see the difference in that versus working that close with the 0.5. The 0.5 will put out a ton of paint, and while you can do detail work with it, it'll be a little bit more frustrating, as you feel like you kind of have to manhandle the airbrush in order to get to work the way you want it to.
Morning Tide would like to know if there will be any content around the cameo sculpts, like tutorials or paint-along streams.
It's the whole point. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We will be using them for a lot of our video content when we talk about how to do certain things. Yep. You'll see the shorts that Jordan is doing will start being loaded with work on the cameos.
Yep.
So that all of our methodologies, you'll be able to find bundled paints along with the cameo busts that we were using when we did them, so that you can recreate them easier. You're starting to see why this is important for us. It's not just because we want to make models.
Yeah.
It's meant as a tool. And so you would imagine, a master class video that we shoot that allows you to see us paint this model and work through all of the processes and all of the techniques we use. And you would be able to kind of one-click purchase all the paints and the model and everything that we've done, or various stages of that if you already have the paints, and follow right along.
Yep.
You know, we've done paint-alongs in the past. We did the whole Mother Lovin' Paint Party and all of that, and people love it in theory, but they're hard to keep up with your own timeline, right? Because we do everything live. And so if you can't be here on the Tuesday I'm talking about painting hair, then you miss out and you have to go back and watch it, and it doesn't feel like you have the same inclusive feel that we're going for with the stream. So what this allows us to do is start, you know, making long form content directly to YouTube that you can just pick up whenever you want to, you know, or if we do master classes, we're talking about doing some very high production quality master classes here, and those might be available as a package deal where you would buy the model and the master class on the website, and then you get a download link to watch the master class for painting a particular thing, and it would include the cameo so that you would have that exact model follow along, be able to, you know, go chapter by chapter to figure out the things you want.
Yep.
Just always a big help.
I'm very excited about it, to be honest. I love making content for you guys to see and learn from, and we're really just kind of getting everything rolling, and you'll see a lot more of it coming out very, very soon, actually, for some of it.
I don't know if anybody on this stream has ever heard me talk about how much I love mahogany.
I've heard it once or twice. This is a known thing.
Mahogany has not been getting the same love around here as it used to.
That's true. Mahogany was like the color.
But when you go back to a known quantity, it's always good. And mahogany,
Known quantity.
you never stop loving it.
It is really good. It is just like a fantastic brown. Rich, it's deep, full of warmth.
So it happens when you make 101 other amazing colors, right? Yeah, exactly. Source, what's going on?
It's like that thing when everybody is always like, "Hey, what's your favorite color in the range?" It's like, I don't know how to answer that question. I can't answer that question.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a correct answer for any of that. That's not how that works, is it?
Like, my favorite paint depends on what I'm working on, and it changes all the time.
Maybe a better way
means
of
that all of them
asking
are the
would
best.
be on specific models. Like, on this particular model, what is your favorite color?
Or maybe like, what are some colors that you feel are that you reach for a lot?
Yeah, that's always a
That's
good
a
one,
better.
for sure.
That's a much better question.
Yeah.
Because just because we reach for a color a lot doesn't mean that it's better than other colors. It means that it's a great foundation color that we use a lot to build off of. And there are definitely really good colors like that. Like dark golden brown is one of those colors. I reach for it all the time when I work on stuff because it's such a great foundation for like a gajillion different things that you can make.
It's what Jason used on the hair on this one, right? As
Yep.
the foundation was
Yeah.
the dark golden
Like,
brown.
I'm building dark golden brown over this dark umber for my non-metallic gold on these guys, and you know, it's gonna end up building into something kind of like this. Although it's gonna get a little shinier.
Are you crazy? Who does non-metallic gold on army paint?
You do.
Oh,
I wonder who I got that from. This guy.
Dark golden brown got a couple votes here.
Yeah, dark golden brown. Payton's gray is another one of those really good foundation colors. Mahogany is a really good one. I like warm brown a lot for doing leather. But you could build it over something darker if you want. I build that up into some lighter leathers typically. Yeah, burnt red's another one. Hipster Gumpy is really good. Burnt sienna is really great. Yeah, but see, like, as I'm going through them, like, I'm naming a whole bunch of colors now, right?
Color number 1 is my favorite, but I also really like 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7.
so I say this is not a question
and
that's easy to
9
answer. This is
and-
not a question you should be posed. Like,
Wad.
it should not have to be asked because it puts us in a very bad position.
I learned it from watching you.
Yeah, Wad. I learned it from watching you. You put me here.
Do you know that reference, Jordan?
No. Maybe? What's the reference from?
It's it was a public service announcement. The
Oh.
dad
Definitely not them.
dad goes into the kid's room, and he's got maybe like a shoebox or something. It's like, what is this? And it's kid's got, I don't know, got weed. Was it weed or was he drinking? I don't know. Either way, it was the dad caught the kid either drinking or smoking or doing drugs of some sort.
Yeah.
And he's like, who taught you this? Was it just cigarettes?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I thought it was weed too. Either way, it was the dad was like, who taught you this? Where did you learn this?
It was like, I learned
and the
from
kid's
watching
like,
you.
I learned it from you, Dad.
And then the dad's just like,
It was you. I learned it from watching you.
hard recovery. We gotta figure out a good recovery from this one.
I have to Google it and find out what he actually found.
I think the only recovery from that conversation is military school for your child.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we don't have to face him.
Learned it
Problem
from
solved.
watching you.
I'm like, I don't.
Anti-narcotics, yeah.
I no
Okay.
longer have a good response for this. This kid just beat
Yeah.
me up in the response territory.
PSA features a father confronting his son in his bedroom after finding a box containing an unspecified controlled substance and drug paraphernalia.
Got
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
it was. It was an unspecified substance and drug paraphernalia. Yeah,
bong,
this is your brain. This is
a
your brain
pipe.
on drugs.
Yeah.
It was around that same time as this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
Yep.
I think that I learned it from watching you was older than the brain on drugs, but
The classic.
it is a classic.
Jason, I learned it from watching you.
No. Shows you shouldn't hang out with me. Bad influence.
Great influence. Talking about. You're a good guy.
I only do bad things though, so kind of cancels it out.
Yeah, but I do lots of.
I only
great
do my bad things with the best intentions. So
Right, Wad? It's such a different world now. Wad said, fast forward to 2023, and the number of people I know that smoke weed with their parents. Exactly.
well,
Significantly
now everybody's
higher.
pissed off that they didn't pass the legalization vote in whatever state they live in, right?
It is dumb.
Like, there's not that many that are not legal anymore, right?
There's
Like a lot of them
Still,
are.
still a lot.
quite a
yeah.
Oh,
lot
really?
that where it's still illegal.
Because I'm just always in states where it is
Yeah.
legal.
I mean, it's only been here.
Oh my
for
gosh.
2 years.
Minnie Rekka
Oh,
said
really?
we should do a spoof on that ad. Who taught you to not eat paints? I learned it from you, Monuments.
That's pretty good.
Oh, we need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except Dad walks in on a kid with like bold pyro red on his lips.
Yes.
Right.
And then we're like,
Who taught you this?
Don't eat the paint.
The dad has to have paint on his
Uh-huh,
mouth too.
uh-huh.
Who taught you this? I learned it from you, Dad. Don't eat the paint.
We happen to have a kid. and
It's
a
coming.
bunch of
Somebody make a
adults.
note. Gabe,
Hipster Gumby.
Gabe, make a note.
Gabe.
That's the next commercial.
Find out child labor laws. See if we can use William. This is your brain on paint.
This is your brain on paint.
It's already on the whiteboard.
Already on the whiteboard.
Yeah, it'll be William.
Gotta be. He's our wizard's butt kid, so
He's our wizard's
We have to have
butt
Carter.
kid.
We have to have
Recurring-
Carter be it, so it's really
it's really father and son.
It's
Very
gonna be
authentic.
father and son. 'Cause
Yes.
we
Oh
got
my
my
gosh, so
brother-in-law and my nephew will be the one. Oh, this is
I'm
beyond
so
perfect.
in. I'm
Alright.
so into this.
This is beyond and Carter is so awkward on camera. Oh no! Who taught you that?
Go
Omicron
on,
says, "I have a
Carter.
5-year-old you can borrow."
Okay, Carter has a
No,
young
my nephew's
child.
a teenager, so it
Yeah,
works better.
it's perfect.
This is your brain on paint. Oh my God! Can you imagine? This is your brain. It's a bottle of Porico. This is your brain on paint, and it's in a pan frying, and we just like totally melt the bottle or whatever.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of crazy, weird things, how many of you have seen the Ben and Matt video?
It's so good.
I have.
So good.
It's so good. Matt, we good?
Oh, we good.
Are we,
Are we
good?
happy?
Yeah.
We happy?
Oh, we happy.
Oh, we happy.
So good. And the dancing.
What a bunch of nerds. They fit right
Love
in.
it.
It's so good. I understood that reference.
I did too, thankfully.
Have you seen that one? Yeah.
Well, I've seen most of it.
Here we go. It was on at a bar I was at.
No, I actually watched it on Netflix.
Well, obviously not if you didn't see all of it.
Well, I might have
Maybe you
finished
doze
it.
off
I don't
a little
really
in it.
remember.
It's kind of long.
The fact that you're talking about Pulp Fiction
Samson Arts.
as if you may have watched it all tells me all I need to know.
Okay.
Welcome, Raiders.
Welcome,
Hello,
Raiders.
everybody.
That Sam.
Hello.
Sam.
Good old Sam.
Hello.
How you
There
doing,
might have
buddy?
been a handful of people who were lucky enough to get their hands on a Sam Lens weapon rack today.
There will be more
There will be more coming.
next month,
Oh, are we out of weapon racks already?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure Weapon Rack sold out in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We were very light on number 6s
Yeah,
this
we
go
didn't-
around.
we didn't
so,
really have
Oh, right,
those.
right.
but we're ready for the storm when the 6s get done.
Yeah.
So.
Weapon rack, Uncle Adam's gone.
And... Well, welcome.
Hello, Sam.
How goes it?
No mas Sam or synthetic or Uncle Adam.
But they're singles of all the synthetics except for the X10 and the 6s.
Yes.
So you can get the bundle deal with the synthetics, buy everything
Yes.
as singles, and you get the same price as the set.
Double
And-
0, 1, 2, 4. That gives you 4 brushes. That and that gives you the bundle pricing. Sam said, "Ahoy, everyone! I'm doing well. Just working on a piece inspired by the TSA smashing someone's models."
Oh, yeah.
What's
from
this?
from Nova.
What
Dan.
happened?
One of the
Yeah.
Dans had his from the Mike and Dan podcast. Dan was traveling in with all of his competition pieces, and TSA shook it. They saw
Yeah.
something in there that they didn't know what it was, and so they picked it up and rattled it around as if they could tell what it was by listening.
Oh, I remember hearing about this.
And he
think.
freaked
Oh.
out, and it broke like nearly all of his models. And the way he put it is, they just smiled and said, "Oh well."
Yeah.
Did he actually submit like a complaint or something? I know.
Oh
people
yeah,
were
he said
talking
he
about him doing
instantaneously did.
it. Okay, good.
It won't get him anywhere.
No.
BYOB, the creepy man with the weird hat, told me it was a good deal.
Yeah. Gabe's commercial.
You can mix and match. You can pick a few sables, pick a few synthetics for the BYOB pricing, and it's 4 and up. So if you want to buy 25 single brushes, that's going to get you the bundled pricing. It's also going to get you a brushes for a long time.
Hope everybody's having a great end of your week.
I am. Today's great.
Hope you're doing well, Sam. It was good to get a little bit of time to hang out at Nova.
Mm-hmm.
Sam was at Nova along with John Nenis, Uncle Adam, Vince. The whole crew came out.
Yep.
We were able to put together another wonderful steak club.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't there.
Jen
Yeah.
missed steak club. She hates missing steak club.
It's a fun night.
Don't eat the brushes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you definitely need those. Don't waste those.
Yeah, we were able to go to Van's Steakhouse, which is from New York,
Yeah, it was really good.
and they have two of them in D.C., which I thought was awesome.
I thought the first rule of Steak Club was you don't talk about Steak Club.
Well, we just did, so.
Yeah. Well, when the ruler of Steak Club talks about Steak Club, you jump on the bandwagon and talk about Steak Club.
Yeah, I might have made a mistake.
Yeah.
Ruined it for everybody. Gotta change the rules now. Actually, I think that's probably. I'm
Wad
just base
Tomato
coding.
is marked in chat as being a raider from Samson Arts, but he was definitely.
What's that?
I said Wad Tomato is marked in chat as a raider from Sam,
But he was
but
here
he
too.
was here.
He was dual screening it.
Were you dual boxing the
How
stream?
does that happen? How can you listen to two at the same
He's
time?
cheating. He had somebody on mute and was watching both streams.
Uh-huh.
Dim the Creative, thank you for the follow. I need. Where's my deep sea bin? There it is.
You have the need for speed?
I need my dark sea bin.
Oh, and by the way, Wad is asking if you're going to make it to Dragonfall in a few weeks, or is the Comic-Con putting a kibosh on that?
Yeah, unfortunately, New York Comic Con is putting a kibosh on me being able to go to Dragonfall. I thought I'd be able to squeeze them both in, but I just can't. As we get deeper into what we're going to have to prep for Comic Con, it's not feasible for me to be gone that previous weekend. I would literally land back like on late Sunday or Monday and then have to get on a plane for New York. And I don't do that very well anymore. In my younger years, it would not have been a problem with that whole idea.
But now,
Nowadays, I like my girl and my dog too much. I'm not trying to be gone that long. Plus, I get itchy when I'm out of my office for that long.
Mathematics said, any tips on assembling things after painting them? I'm sub-assembly painting.
Don't do it.
I'm sub-assembly painting claw. Is plastic glue still cool to use?
It'll ruin your paint job.
yeah, it will.
Super glue is much better. The worst that super glue will do is maybe haze a little bit. If you have a particular color in the super glue, you overdo it.
Yeah. Plastic glue will rip up your paint.
Yeah, plastic glue will tear acrylic right off of the model.
A lot of plastic glue uses acetone. And yeah, that stuff will really strip paint off your models.
I'd be careful with it. If you're very careful with your placement, you can pull it off.
Yeah. It's just a little sketchy.
Higher Asylum, I will say the same thing that I say every time I see those particular words. There are no dumb questions. Higher Asylum would like to know, said, I can't find my black wash. If I do like 3-to-1 glazed wash medium to transparent black, that should get me to the ballpark, yeah?
Maybe a little bit more glaze and wash.
Glaze and wash medium, if you're creating a black wash, I would do about 8 to 10 to 1,
Yeah.
and then water. And then add paint back in, right, to get the opacity you're looking for, or do multiple layers. That's the easy way. When doing washes, always err on the side of too thin, not enough opacity, and then layer it up. When working with our washes or our wash medium, you are a little safer because, you don't get all the staining that you do with, other people's washes. So, whereas you wouldn't necessarily think about layering washes up, you can with ours and it works fine.
Hey, Jason.
Sir?
Do you remember,
No.
off the top of your head, what the colors you were used for your non-metallic silver on your Dark Angels for Heresy? It was very simple.
Yeah.
Are you
remember.
quizzing him? Do you know? Or are you
No, I
asking?
legitimately don't know, because I need to do it again on these models, because I did it on the...
It's all dark
On this
blue
guy?
and khaki with a black wash.
Is it?
So let's look at it real quick.
Oh.
Because I have the that's the khaki part is the silver is just grays.
Yeah.
It's just gray. It's just dark neutral gray, dark warm gray, neutral gray, bright neutral gray.
Okay, one more time. Dark neutral gray.
Dark neutral gray is a base.
Yep.
Dark warm gray, thinly brushed over that to give it a little bit of that dirty look to it.
Okay.
Then neutral gray in the highlight areas, and then a dry brush of bright neutral gray.
Okay.
And then the flesh wash over the top of that for the rust.
Right.
And then you go back and you actually line your final highlights in with the brush for the bright neutral gray stuff.
Yep. That sounds right.
It's the gun cases and stuff that have the
Yeah, where it's like more silver, not
and the
steel.
black wash
Yeah.
that I used on that. But looked like more of a gunmetal instead of just a standard gray silver.
Do we have that done as a methodology?
No, maybe. I
we
don't think
should.
so.
I should write that up. Should do it as a short too. Because that is really easy to do.
Really quick.
Yeah, I remember doing it on this guy, and it was like, I had so much fun doing it because it was just like stupid easy, stupid easy. So. Going to airbrush Zenithal for the first time. Any tips on using titanium white? Do you have transparent white?
When doing Zenithal, I tend to just use the white primer and the black primer, but no matter how you choose to do it, just thin it down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Pick your angle that you want your lighting to be coming from. You know me, I hate the term Zenithal because that means the point furthest away, which is generally, that would be like 12 o'clock. And you don't want to spray directly down. You want to pick like 10 or 2. And then just start lightly dusting the model until you see the details start to pull out. Treat your airbrush as the light source. So imagine your airbrush being the sun. You want to keep the angle that it's pointing at the model the same the whole time. Don't shift that. Shift how high or low it is in relation to the model instead. I'll show you real quick.
Gentleman Paints, good day to you.
Good day, sir.
Right. Let's say I back out here. Say it's primed black and I want all my light coming from her left cheek over here, then I would rotate the model like this to where I, as the sun, with this being the sun, am looking at the model the way the sun and position or the light in the roof or whatever you're doing would be on the model. The light's not moving around, right? So don't move it. Keep it angled the same way. And then at that same angle, right, don't, as you go down, don't do this, right? Let me just make it more dramatic. Like if you spray like this, 2 o'clock, you're going to get a really good zenithal. And then you just move it out this way or further this way so you get coverage, right? And then you bring it down, keeping that same angle the whole way, right? Don't do what everybody does. Don't do this. Because what have you just done?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If as you go down, you keep pointing at the same spot on the model, right? Light doesn't work that way. Light works like this, right? You keep your shadows the same. You don't cover your shadows. If you need to rotate the model, try to rotate the model and not your airbrush. If you rotate your airbrush around it, keep that same angle, right? And then same thing up and down. So basically think about locking the angle once you get it and always keeping the airbrush at that angle. If you need to, say you're here and you're shooting the top of her head, but you need to get some light down here on her hip, right? Don't go aim at the hip, right? Just bring the airbrush down and let the overspray hit the hip, right? You're actually painting here. I would be painting past her, right? I would be painting the paper underneath her and let the overspray be the part that gets the hip, right? Because that's the way light works. It travels in straight lines and it gets shadowed, and blocked by things, solid objects in between. So that's the big key. Hopefully that helps. That's the biggest mistake people make when zenithal highlighting and why they will lose the dramatic light positioning and contrast that it really wants you to be finding through the process.
Are you gonna be sticking around tonight, Jason? For
I am
for game night.
Yeah.
You gonna be doing Commander?
Yeah.
With the crew.
Yeah, we got a card, so I'm gonna be sleeving 200 cards first, so that'll be 18 hours.
Yeah, that's true. I need to sleeve a deck.
I'm gonna want to try to play both. So.
Memory Gardens would like to know what's your mix for Sons of Horus. I've tried a few mixes and haven't gotten any I liked.
Do I have them? So I have 2 pre-mixes that I made. Where are they? I have them somewhere. They're in clear bottles. I put them. Where did I put them?
Slovic 42, thank you for the follow.
Let's see here. If I can remember off the top of my head, the base color is dark warm gray with a little bit of jade, just a hint. And then the highlight color is faded green with a little bit of dark warm gray. There's another color. What is it?
Thank you for that follow, by the way.
Shoot.
That was Slavic 42. I said that as soon as I saw it pop up.
It's some combination of faded green, dark warm gray. I'll just mix it and find out. It's annoying that I don't have the balls here. I had them.
If he had it to do all over again, he would use as a base the color I'm using right now, which is Dark Sea Ben. I just know he would.
It's not that one sitting in front of the little tool rack? On the bottom down?
Oh, no, they're right here.
Oh, okay.
There they are. So these are the 2 colors. You can see. So this is the first color here.
Farmer Jonas will get to that question in just a second.
So if I paint this,
Jordan talks
on
about these 2
something
colors.
random. So this is the first color. You can tell it's actually quite a bit brighter than you would expect. Now it dries a little bit darker than this, but that's the base color. So that would be jade. Dark warm gray and then faded green, maybe? There's probably a better way to mix these. That's like 2 colors. What would I mix to make this 2 colors? Tough because I didn't want it to be too saturated. I wanted it to be like a kind of just like a mid-tone gray with some blue to it, with a decent amount of blue to it. I'd have to go grab them from my desk because I have the actual paints that I used on my desk.
You've broken Baby J.
I know. I'm struggling. It's been a while since I mixed it. It's been like months since I mixed these colors. Because these were one of the first projects that I started on.
We're all very, very bad about writing down.
Oh, I'm horrible. I am actually horrible.
The next question about wet palettes while he goes and gets those
Yeah,
colors.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab those.
Is you're running your wet palette too wet if you're finding problems with Pro Acryl on it. And this is something that gives people a lot of problems if they're used to using the wet palette as a way to get their paints consistency to the point where they enjoy using it. A lot of paints in our hobby space are a little too thick to start. And so people run very wet palettes so that it thins them down from what we call a viscosity, right? So that's the component of a liquid that is thick or thin is viscosity. And a lot of hobby paints feel more viscous, meaning thicker. And so people will run their wet palettes and are kind of used to doing that. Pro Acryl doesn't require you to thin for viscosity. It should be ready for how you want to use it right out of the pot for everything that you want full color from, right? Whether airbrushing, brush painting like I'm doing now, I'm only using the moisture on the brush. And so the way to control your wet palette better is, the method I tell everybody is to take your palette paper, run it under warm water, hot water, saturate it, get it totally wet. It's, it's like wax paper or like baking paper, right? So it crinkles, it's not soft. But then lay it down once it's completely wet, lay it down, next to the sink or on your counter or whatever, get a ruler or some sort of flat thing and squeegee all the water out of it. Like give it a good press and squeegee all the water out of it. Then what you're left with is a piece of paper that the pores of it have been opened up by being wet, which will allow the process to work. Because if you just put dry paper down, the problem is that the wet palette doesn't want to pull water through the dry paper itself. So you need to dampen it first. But you also want to then get rid of all that water, wick it all off, squeegee it all off, then put it on your wet sponge. You can put as much water around your sponge as you want. That doesn't matter. What you're trying to avoid is to have the top of the paper wet. Because the way the wet palette is intended to work is that as water evaporates from the droplet of paint that's on top, water evaporates, right, generating heat, and that then is going to force the water underneath it to pull through the paper, but the paper has to be somewhat wet for that to work, right, to have that porosity opened up to allow the water to seep through. That's why dry doesn't work. But you don't want it floating water, because if it floats water, there's no balancing point there, and water just, maintains. It's going to say, okay, well, there's this much water on top, it's always going to try to keep that much, and that puddle of paint is going to just kind of float in the water. And no paint likes that once it reaches the viscosity of ours, right? So just dry your paper off more. Easy peasy.
I remembered the base color mix.
Kyra Asylum said Google Sheets or Excel are amazing for keeping track of color mixes, but you actually have to put this stuff in there. They are fantastic because they're searchable, but yeah, the actual act of putting the paint names in the Google Sheets is the challenge.
So the easiest way to do this is you take jade and black green, and you mix them 50-50, and then you add however much warm gray that you want to get to the level of bright or darkness that you want for your first layer. Is the easiest way to mix it. And that will get you that'll get you this color right here. I typically went with a 1-to-1-to-1 mix, and that seems to work really well for me. These two colors are a little bit too saturated on their own. The warm gray adds a nice little bit of warmth and desaturation at the same time that gets it to the right color. And then the highlight color, which is this, is a little darker than faded green. So my guess is it's probably, I wonder if this is it. Yep. So this is, the highlight color is only two colors. It is black green and faded green. In roughly 1-to-1. So that's the mix. And that color is this right here.
And so are these colors what you're using on the models that
Yeah.
are in the background there?
Yep.
Okay.
Obviously, I airbrushed these, but you can see both of these hues in the model, both on the underside and then on the top side.
Slovic said, came here from a raid. I don't know your name. Jay on the left. That's Jason. But the detail you are walking through these tips has gained a follower and Monument Hobbies customer. Thank you.
Awesome.
Awesome.
He's the guy that makes everything. So
So
we
yeah,
appreciate that.
you know, for those who haven't been around here long, number one, welcome. Glad to have you. But yeah, I mean, we this stream has been going now for 8 years.
Long time.
And we have, from the beginning, really been focused on helping you find confidence in your painting. We have, you know, along those 8 years, become a product company, selling and making Acryl paint. You know, so we now are invested in all sorts of ways with our community, but we still remain true to that initial starting point, which is we're just here to have fun and paint. We're just artists like you guys. So if I can help spread the knowledge I've gained over my 45 years of painting, then more power to us, right? I believe that these things should not be hidden, right? They should not be hard to gain, because my goal is to have everybody enjoy the hobby that chooses to try to jump in. And even when it's something as simple, you know, we can talk all day about how rules in the games make people jump ship, but even just painting can be frustrating and cause people to give up on a hobby that is really, really amazing and fun and can be a lifelong, you know, thing that you keep as a way to enjoy time after work, or, you know, on a weekend to catch a breather. And, you know, I want everybody to be able to stick with it, grow with it, find new things as they want to, at whatever level you're at. You want to paint armies for the rest of your life, we got you. But a lot of it has the trickiness of there is a science behind it in reality and physics and geometry and all that. And so knowing those things throws some people off, you know, when they hear us talk that way. It's like, okay, I'm going to say some physics stuff.
Yeah, we're going to get a little
And people
weird.
are like, I quit school for a reason. You know? And we're not trying to be that in-depth. But, you know, being able to find those underlying truths, if you will, that kind of guide how things work, and being able to kind of just register them tangentially for you, I think will help a lot.
And Slavic, be sure to join our Discord too. I just posted that link. It's a little bit above the comments that are right here. That's an awesome community of painters and hobbyists, and we're all in there. And
Yeah.
We're kind of cool.
Panic Bomb, what's going on?
Panic Bomb.
Plastic Visions, how many new colors are anticipated? I need to figure out how to hide my Pro Acryl budget from my wife.
Uh-oh.
All of it.
Uh-oh.
Honestly, that's a great question. And in the main Pro Acryl line, we have slated 96 colors. We're at 72 right now, I believe.
75.
No, 75.
No, the washes don't count.
They're not part of the 75.
They're not part of that?
No.
Okay, 75.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
gray.
75 is
Warm gray, 75.
warm gray.
Yeah, warm
neutral
gray,
gray, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So 96, we have 75, so there's 21 additional colors coming in the main line. And then the Signature Series, we have slated at 48 right now, but that was a number that we just kind of arbitrarily picked based on our thoughts about how the community would react to the Signature Series paints. It's been astounding how much people love the idea. The artists that we have the ability to work with continues to grow. The colors, though, we don't want to, we'll probably still kind of restrain that to about 48 colors. We don't believe you need 500 colors of paint. There's a really good reason to have some tints, tones, and shades already pre-mixed of colors that you use all the time, so we will go down that path of triads for some of the colors. But you'll notice it won't happen for all of them, I don't think. Part of that's just for our own sanity. You can imagine, because we actually make all of this here at our factory, if you have 1,000 colors, you can't remake the whole line in under a couple of months, and we have to continually be refreshing the line. So there's a lot of reasons behind that. Yeah, so 96 mainline, 48 on the others, and then all the ancillary ones like washes, primers, mediums, things like that will grow as their own, but they're kind of what we would call support products, you know? But the main colors that you use to paint with will be somewhere in that range.
Big Bobzilla, I was going to kind of ask a question along those same lines, is that, you know, is your Pro Acryl budget in balance with her budget for shoes or purses or whatever
clothing,
hobby she has? Maybe
clothing,
she likes to
makeup
cook
goods,
or sew or whatever.
Hair dryers.
Yeah. They should
Hair
match.
dryers.
Mo says, you're not saying we've been over this before, Jason, and you don't know how to use your properly, so I'm ahead of you. So, there you go.
Wait, what?
Ba-bow! That will teach you, Mo.
Oh, I thought Mo was saying you don't know how to use your properly. I was like, that
No, he
doesn't sound
said-
right.
he
Well,
said
no,
you're not
he
saying-
didn't use it properly.
He didn't use it properly. and
You're
so
not
I
saying
appended
what?
onto his sentence, but you don't know how to use the proper
Yep.
your,
Yep.
so I'm ahead
That's
of
the
you.
possessive.
Remember, it's you are.
That's the possessive. Jen does.
Yeah. Yeah, Mo, you're in the wrong room, Bubba.
You are in the wrong room.
Automaton. Don't bring my last name into this. Don't try to make it seem like I've been this way since birth. I mean, I have.
Right? I even said sewing, didn't I?
Sounds like I'm safe.
Yes.
Just spent
You're
$2,000
safe.
on a new sewing machine. Sounds
You're
like I'm
safe.
great through
We don't
2023.
make $2,000 worth of paint. You got plenty of time. You got
We
lots of
don't
catching
make
up to
$2
do.
grand worth of paint.
Plastic must not have been here for the other new product release showings that we've done this week.
Well, yeah,
with
we've
the new
done some other
bags
releases.
and all the other new stuff.
Watch the VODs.
You might want to increase your budget.
We have our transparent Farmer Jonas. Our transparents are single pigment.
Yeah, this term pure pigment is a misnomer, and as a paint manufacturer, we kind of cringe a little when people say pure pigment. And there's brands out there that use that and all that. All pigment is pure. I mean, in our world, and once you get into like hobby paints and even like house paints and things like that, the pigment's pure. So that word is irrelevant. Single pigment, I think, is what a lot of people are trying to say. Is that by saying that all we have in this paint is the color that the paint is. So cyan or a particular magenta, right? And that is a good basis to know what you're working with, because if you intend to mix a lot of paints together to get a color, you need to make sure that they are all reduced as much as possible to their base components. But that's really when you talk about CMYK mixing that becomes very important. So if you've ever been to like Home Depot and they go in and they make your house paint, and they'll take the CMYK number and they'll put a bottle of white base, tint base they call it, into their machine, and then you'll see the 5 paint heads squirt stuff out like ink into the paint, and then they put it into the mixer and it mixes it up and gives you a color. In order to make sure that color, right, retains the properties, light, fastness, and all of that, it's very important that those are all single pigment paints. For what we do as hobbyists, you have to ask yourself, how many times do you mix more than 2 paints together to get a color?
A lot.
You don't. You don't as much as you think you do.
No.
And you shouldn't be if you are.
No.
Right? It's knowing
I do it
knowing your paint line. I rarely, if ever, mix more than 2 colors together. Right? And I can get a myriad of colors out of 2 because our paint lines are not limited to just CMYK. We have a broad range of colors that are already mixed. So as long as what you're doing at the end, and this is bad math, so just take this from a 50,000 foot level, but if you can imagine putting no more than 5 colors together, they should all work really well, pigment-wise. So if you're putting 2 hobby paints together, you're probably always safe, right? There are paints out there that I'm not going to lie, right, use like 3 or 4 pigments per color, and if you mix a bunch of those together, you get mud, right? But you'll know what you're dealing with, right? And we're not going to name and shame, but there are some out there that you'll know you can't mix very well. All of the Pro Acryl colors are a base primary pigment with white and black added to them where possible for opacity and shading. There are some colors that are multiple pigments, right, to get a color that doesn't exist as a single pigment. All of them exist as single pigments pretty much. Well, again, 50,000 foot view. There's colors we can come up with that I can't just go buy a raw powder that is going to make it through paint. And a lot of those raw pigments, all being synthetics, don't work well in water-based suspensions for acrylic. So this whole thing, again, we're getting way too sciencey. You probably opened a can of worms you didn't know you're opening. But our transparents are all single pigment paints. A bulk of the main line is single pigment paints. We just don't care. Because what we do is we ensure that the balance of all of our paints works to where when you mix them together, you get what you need. What you expect and how you need it. So you don't have to worry with Pro Acryl about what's single pigment and what's not. Now, if you want to do CMYK mixing, we always push people to the transparents, because if you want to take red, blue, yellow, white, and black and be able to mix anything you want, and you like that style of painting, the transparents are amazing. Replace red with dark magenta and you're solid. Like, you're just right where you need to be. It will be, like you've experienced if you've used single pigment paints, it will be less opaque. Because single pigments do not have a whole lot of opacity attached to them. Some more than others, but none of them are fully opaque, right? Unless they're just some really weird synthetic pigment that we wouldn't really use, because it generally requires them to be a lot heavier. So, in the hobby, and you can clip this, do not worry about whether people are telling you they're single or pure or whatever marketing term they're using for their paints. Put it to use. Mix it. See if it works for you. Then it doesn't matter. Right? Louis CYNK.
Oh my gosh.
CMYK. Bizarre World. So if there's another 20 or so colors planned, is there a ballpark timeline for them, like fall 2024? So the next 6 are coming at the end of the year, and that's our fluorescent set. We've shown off a bunch of the fluorescents.
Yeah, I'm right here.
You can put them on your camera.
Yep.
But we've been showing off the fluorescents. We've been painting with them. Show them your model with the pink pot. Right? He's been putting the fluorescents to work there just over white. So they are amazing. There will be a 6-color set of fluorescents that hits, hopefully, if all goes well, before the end of the year. No promises. We're trying. And then the additional
5 there plus red.
Yeah,
fluorescents.
this set plus red.
Yeah. And then the additional, that takes 6, 18. I think there's another 12-color set. I think we're including the washes as they stand in the 96. So there'll be an expansion set 5 will be an additional 12 colors, and we expect that to come out somewhere mid next year. There will be another 1 or 2 signature sets prior to that, shooting for the Adepticon timeline. But yeah, I would think that by mid next year, the main line of colors is pretty secure. We will be going back and altering some of the mainline colors, most likely. There are a couple of colors that I've never been 100% satisfied with, and now that we've fleshed out the line, we'll probably tint or shade them a bit so they fit better. Mm-hmm. But you'll pretty much be lined out on the main 96 by, let's call it, July next year. That gives us some time to make sure everything's right. The Chat Signature Series.
It is 150.
Oh my gosh.
Chat Signature Series is exactly one paint. It's
plaid.
T. Schmidt green.
Oh.
Or T. Schmidt yellow.
Hot pink plaid.
Hot pink plaid. Yeah, that's what it is. It's hot pink plaid.
Hot pink plaid.
It's nice to know how you mix your own, but buying your entire range has allowed you to use colors you might not ordinarily consider when mixing CMYK. That's really the value of any range for you. Yeah, exactly. Kyra, and that's the key, right? That's exactly what I've been saying, is that while a lot of, understand, and this is not a knock, but a lot of companies' paint is made like, it's made by house paint companies. And so house paint companies use that CMYK mixing process like Home Depot does to make their colors. They don't take the time to science out what are the best, like, breakdown primary colors to make that color. They'll use CMYK. Not bad, but it means now you have up to 5 pigments, generally 3, 4, or 5 pigments in your paint, right, that makes it the color that you need. And while those mix well together, they stay stable. As soon as you mix it with something else, it may not give you what you want, right? Because it may have been just a hint heavier yellow. And so with Acryl, we try to balance everything with as few pigments as possible at the start from an artistic perspective, right? Not a house paint perspective, so that it does mix. And that's a big thing that we've heard since the launch of the paints, is that everybody who uses our paints becomes more comfortable mixing because they get what they thought in their head they should get.
Yep.
And it makes you not afraid that you're going to get mud or whatever. You know, you look at red and you look at white and you get pink, that's fine. You know, but you can start mixing and feeling better because you will get really nuanced colors. And you can start just a little bit of mixing and understand how it's going to work, because we try to balance how intense and light fast each of our colors are along the process of production. So, you know, and that's just because that's how we paint. I say this a million times a year. I am a lazy painter. Mm-hmm. I do not want to have to work hard to get colors to work on my models. Now, I could just paint them like clown suits and just use yellow, you know, blue and red like I was in kindergarten still. But I still want colors. I just don't want to have to work hard to get them. But I also don't want to have to make 500 colors, because as a manufacturer, that becomes something that makes my brain explode.
That sounds
right?
awful.
We can't stock that many colors in our building, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
so I want them to mix easily so that it's just not even a fear for you. You put out these 2 colors, you get what you want. We have a lot of people that'll say, hey, what's the corresponding color for this GW color that I've used my whole life? And I say, oh, it's dark gray, blue, and khaki. And they're like, oh, I have to mix? And I'm like, just try it. And they do it, and we've had people write me back saying, dude, that's awesome. So you buy 2 paints and you get like 50 colors because you can mix them in various amounts along that range and get whatever you want. He was talking about how he's doing his with the black green and the jades and the faded greens. Black green and bright pale green together as a color combo will get you 12 colors of green that are all amazing for doing your triad work, right? From dark to light. And we've shown you that. And so all of our paints are built around that theory that you can pick your bright color and your dark color that you like and then just start mixing them and get everything in between. Whether you like to do that with wet blending on the model in more advanced ways or whether you just want to make it on the palette. Whether you want to mix it up and put it in bottles, we don't care. It works the same. Eclectic salmon, which I have right here. This is eclectic salmon, mixed in a bottle just the way we're talking about. Yeah. This is whole pile of red, orange, and warm flesh. Mixed in a bottle. And I'll have, it's been this way since we started our Blood Angels forever ago, over a year ago probably, right?
And I mean,
this is my highlight color. We called it Eclectic Salmon. It's my highlight color for our Blood Angels, right? And I can mix this, put it in a bottle, and know that I can use it as long as I can use our regular Pro Acryl colors. It's just, that's what we wanted to do with our paint. Yeah. Lazy man painting.
And if these were really hard to mix, they would be hard to mix in a bottle. Oh, yeah. Because they would separate. I just do 1 to 1 to 1. Yeah. And then it's, for this one, and it's just, it comes out perfectly. It's still mixed. I don't have to mix it up a ton. Same thing with this.
I like how Mo is like, I want the hottest hot pink and T-Schmidt green. Plaid, hot pink, super hot pink, hottest hot pink, and T-Schmidt.
And eclectic salmon.
And what?
And eclectic
salmon. Oh, and eclectic salmon. Yeah, you had to get to 6. Okay, gotcha. We won't make a product that peak. We got to keep you on your toes, right? I don't mix more than 2, but here's my custom 3-color mix. Yes, very rare that I mix 3 colors.
Now that you mention it, I don't really mix.
Well, and most of the time, so, and understand, like in that one, and this is not a defensive thing, but like you'll mix like red and orange together, right? And we get red-orange, and that's my first highlight. And then I want to take that base to mix my next highlight because I'm lazy. I've already made this. So what can I do to tint this to get my highlight? So yes, I'll retract my statement. I will use 3 colors if that's what I'm doing, like live as we're mixing colors. I find a really good mid-tone with red and orange, and then I just want to brighten that up. Well, I'm not going to go back to the drawing board and try to figure out how to make this color out of 2. I'm not going to fight it because I already have this, and adding a little bit of warm flesh to that gives me this, and that's perfect.
And I think, I want to say maybe it was T. Schmid and Big Bobzilla were saying that, I don't really mix 3 unless I'm trying to like make a color and then make a brighter version.
Exactly, that's the thing, right? When you're tint toning and shading a color, that's the only time that I would really find myself doing that, and it still holds together really well. So, Stuart Simple-esque Pinkest Pink, the kind of color the camera in the studio won't be able to read clearly.
So have a good weekend.
So this this pink fluorescent is that. Like it's
not the
green
camera
too
is
it's desaturating it, right? It looks like bubblegum here,
that.
But it's like freaking laser pink. I mean, you can see it on the model that Jordan was painting.
It definitely shows on the model a little bit more.
Yeah,
pink
here's a closer
because it doesn't have the plastic jar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went and I covered a lot of this with some of the violet and then some royal purple, just to give it a little bit more like smoky dimension. Like deep into there, you can see how hot that is.
Kyre, take it easy.
See you, Kyre.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Exactly.
The 80s call they want their Trapper Keeper.
I look at those exactly. At the fluorescent colors, and I want to paint something in like an 80s theme, like with an 80s vibe.
Well, imagine if you'd had those when you were doing your
Lisa Frank
stuff, right?
I know. Might need to do.
They probably would have frustrated you a little bit because realized they're very transparent.
Yeah.
Fluorescents are very translucent is the proper term, but they do they glow in black light? Not much. We formulated them to not have the glow because that is a chemical reaction that over time desaturates the paint. So if they're in UV light underneath fluorescents and things like that, it will fade the paint because it's a chemical reaction that makes them glow. So as they're charging up, that's ruining the paint. So no,
I did not know.
we
that,
didn't make
actually.
them as an effect paint for that reason.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
But that's a cool thing about ours is that they're able to maintain that really punchy coloring without having to have the chemical components to make that happen. So, how would you do a green magic? Transparent black for the smoky parts? Or like black green to black, you know, something like that, depending on how you wanted to do?
Exactly like what I did with this.
Yeah.
You start with white, paint the whole thing white, and then you start with your next super bright color, like that color right there. Boop, 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 boop. And then you just add the darker colors on top of it.
This is just green in the shadow. So, you know, I know this isn't green magic like you're talking about, but this is just our green over black primer. And then our bright yellow green. I didn't use the fluorescence on this. It's just super punchy.
God, can you imagine if you use the fluorescence on that?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Be screaming.
This is just bright yellow green with no thinning, but yeah. Matomatic, yeah, the Lisa Frank minis that she was doing. One of these days, I'll outline the graffiti.
Yeah.
The Hug Life. Was it Hug Life? What are we doing on it?
Well, we could do Hug Life. I wanted to do Damn It Feels Good to Be, Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster, but I don't know if that will all fit.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot at scale. That Hug Life one is good. And Hug Life is right downtown, right? Isn't that where we saw that? Was it said Hug Life on a building?
We saw it on a mural, and then I cross-stitched it in, like, the Old English script.
Yeah. There's a mural downtown that has a big Hug Life.
That's awesome.
Done like Thug Life
on
the side of a building. It's hilarious. Going to hold on painting any cyberpunk busts until you get those. We're doing the final testing. I say Baby J. We are not. Baby J is doing the final testing on those and is very happy with them so far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A couple more airbrush tests and things like that through all the colors to make sure that they react well with the varnishes and things like that. All our typical walkthrough stuff, and then once we get them approved, they'll be into manufacturing. So.
Yep. I think that's actually what I'm gonna do after stream today.
Jabe is working on labels. So. Slayer Street, what's going on? You caught up at the end.
It's
It
about
is
quitting time.
unfortunately that time of the day when we leave you.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody. You guys are awesome.
All I did was base coat some stuff.
I finished this guy's smoke stuff before you got here.
I base coated some stuff.
And then I did most of the gold on these guys.
Have I mentioned how much I love Dark Sea Ben?
It's pretty darn good.
So good.
Is that Dark Sea Ben on that?
On the steel parts, yeah.
That's not Payne's Gray?
No.
Oh, wow.
No, Payne's Gray is the fur.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see the difference. Yeah, Dark Sea Ben's really good.
Wait, I painted? I mean, was it really though?
He was gone for like the first hour. So.
Was it really though? I had a phone call. I'm sorry, guys. I have been a lot less present than I want to be.
Hey,
my work day is jammed up, but the good thing is that that's why we have the illustrious Baby J in the house anyway. But it is not my intention to not be here. I want everybody to understand that. It is my intention that Baby J is a fantastic replacement when needed. When you say tweak some older colors, do you mean hue, tint, or formulation for coverage? Any of our colors that you might think don't have good coverage are that way on purpose. I hate to say that way, but it's because of the whole pigment conversation that we had. Like yellows, yellow greens, things that have a really high amount of yellows or magentas in them tend to be less opaque because of the fact that we use more of that single pigment formulation in those. Because we want them to be the exact tint and shade that we want, so we can't add as much white or black to them, otherwise we can't hit the core color we're looking for. We do have a bismuth yellow coming out that will give you a tremendous yellow that covers like an absolute champ. But it is a different yellow color than our current golden yellow.
It's a little colder.
But so yes, it's mostly for tint, tone, and shade, not for hue. In general, I don't think we're changing any of the hues. At least I don't have a mind to right now. If we were to do that, we would just remove a color, but we don't have any colors that we really want to remove, I don't think. To give you an example, like golden brown and yellow ochre need a little bit more separation. So I'm thinking yellow ochre will probably get a bit darker so that those two work together as a family. You wind up with dark golden brown, yellow ochre, and golden brown wind up being a really great gold family. But one of our next signature sets may take care of that. So there's still a lot to happen. I can't promise you anything on that front. But we're always looking at it, right? Every time we come out with new colors or want ideas for new colors, we're always reevaluating. But we would never change any of the mainline colors without announcing it and letting people understand and get to buy the old color first and make sure if it was something. But none of them should be big enough changes that it would affect anything. Brown. Farmer Jonas, always for yellows, put something before the yellow. Whether it's burnt sienna, burnt orange, if you want really warm yellows, browns, greens. To give you an idea, like all of the metallic golds that I've been doing lately have been based with greens first. So that, you know, as you move up through your yellows, you get that kind of tarnished gold feel. So don't be afraid of greens. They work very well. There's all sorts of colors that you can use to give you a really good yellow. It really just depends on you know, what your goal is, you know. This one had orange, just plain orange drop down before the yellows. And you get really punchy yellows, but you can see how I layered up over the orange to make a transition, believe it or not, between the jade and the turquoise to orange and yellow.
Love that color palette.
Oh, it's great, right?
Pascal, oh.
Yeah.
So good. That is probably, from a color perspective, one of my favorite artists.
Yeah. Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, his stuff is.
But he only has 5 colors that he uses.
Yeah.
So it gets a little boring quick.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Yeah, but it's cool.
You heard magenta makes a great base for gold and yellow final. Yeah, because but remember that pinks and magentas just create oranges, so that's the trick there, is that you're filtering. You can get away with just using orange as a base to skip that step if you'd like, and not have to worry about the weirdness that magenta can give you in the shadows. If you do like a pink or magenta before yellow, it'll shade right, but if you miss any spots, magenta looks a little wonky underneath a yellow. So I always like to use oranges first, because orange will never look bad if you miss a spot, right? Orange and yellow are just perfect combos anyway, and all the pink does when mixed with the yellow is give you the magentas and yellows make reds, so you're getting those orangey reds out of it anyway, and so you can just build those colors on first, and that way it doesn't look funny if you miss like an armpit, or if you're airbrushing quick and doing an army. It'll look funny if you've missed a spot and you find that pink amongst the yellow. It looks jarring, right? So, all right, we're out of here. Thank you. So we won't pull a Unity. Ba-bonk.
Ba-bonk.
It's hashtag too soon for those video game developers that are still feeling the effects of that bad decision. More on that later. But thanks. Have a great weekend, gang. Love hanging out with you. Remember, we do stream 5 days a week. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays like today. We start at noon and go till 2 p.m. Pacific for our hobby lunchtime. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, we start at that later slot at 2 p.m. and go till 5. So it gives you 5 chances to catch up with us during the week. We'd love to see you back for as many as you can. If those of you that have found us through raids and it's your first time here, please hit that follow button. We'd love to see you back.
Hey, Plastic Visions, we just restocked brushes today, so.
Brushes are in stock, by the way. So there you go.
Order them now while you can.
But
Or tell your store
hit all
to
the
order
links that
them.
Jen put up in the chat, the Discord, the store, the FLGS link, so you can find a store hopefully local to you or closer to you if you're in an international area outside of the U.S. And anytime you want to try some new paints, give us a shot. I think you'll love what you find. Love to see you back here. Have a wonderful weekend. Stick around for the raid we're going to go to, and show some love in the chat. We wind up, and we'll catch you on the flip side, gang.
Good night, Gracie.
Everyone.
Good night. I didn't even ask.